Go, Knights, go! 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 Hello, Knight fans, and welcome to Knights This Week with your super host and fan, Jason Banks here, bringing you another week of Knights This Week. On Knights This Week, we got a game at Budweiser Gardens to tell you about. And then we got two road games on Knights this week, one in Owen Sound and one in Guelph. So that's Knights this week here for you. And we're getting down to the final stretch of the regular season coming into play this week. 9 games left for most teams in the schedule, so certainly down to the crunch for the Knights and for everybody in the OHL. So let's get to it, shall we, this week on Knights This Week. And I apologize, my bird is chatting away in the background. He is kind of chatty and very vocal today. Although that's good to see, because my bird a couple weeks ago, my pet Budgie, was not well. I don't know what was with him, but he's back to himself now, so it's good to hear him chirping and making noise. Anyway, Knights this week. And as I do at the beginning of every Knights this week, lately that I've been doing, I have been showing you different shirts that I have on Knights this week. So on this week's Knights this week, this is my shirt here. It is House of Green. So I showed you another House of Green shirt that I had, and this is a different one now. Okay, so take a look at that. Yeah, I'm modeling House of Green. So yeah, this House of Green shirt has been something that they've been doing for the since 2005. So this year, this is the House of Green shirt I'm wearing here is from 2012. Now, 2012, the London Knights won their second ever OHL championship in franchise history. A rather surprising OHL championship at that, because, and of course, here's my tee. It was a rather surprising championship because the London Knights had such a young team that year. They were coming off a rebuild year, and that doesn't happen very often in Knights Nation. But the year before, it was definitely a rebuild year. They finished in the 8th and final playoff spot the year before and got beat in the first round, which doesn't happen often either. So, coming into the season, the Knights, 2012 season, the Knights were expected to be better, but to do what they did was something that nobody saw coming. They ended up finishing first overall in the standings. They, as I said, had such a young team that year, but they had an all-star goaltender in Micah Hauser. He actually won goaltender of the year that year, and he was an awesome goaltender. They won the OHL championship. They actually, at the trade deadline, thought that this team was good and thought that they had a shot, so they added pieces to it, including a very valuable piece in Austin Watson, who ended up being the playoff MVP. So you acquire Austin Watson, a veteran who did nothing but block shots, play tough, add to the scoring, and he was something else, and he was the playoff MVP. They also added Greg McKegg from the Erie Otters that year, and Erie was actually a seller that year, I believe that was the final year that Erie became a seller, because since then Erie has been a very good hockey team. So they added those pieces to a young team, and it almost got them all the way. They beat the Niagara Ice Dogs in 5 games in the OHL final. And for the second time, I was at the OHL clincher that year. So I've seen all the OHL clinchers except last year's, because last year's they went on the road. And I would have saw that one if I had been able to snag a ticket for that game, but I wasn't able to. But yeah, they beat the Niagara Ice Dogs in 5, went to the Memorial Cup, which was being played out in Shawinigan, yes. Shawinigan, Quebec, and they almost won the Memorial Cup. They got to the final, played actually the Shawinigan Cataracts, the host team, who many were surprised to see in the final, and went to overtime, and the Knights lost in overtime. A heartbreaking loss for sure. But that was 2012 for you, and this is my shirt this week, House of Green 2012. So let's get to the games this week, shall we? And let's get to the first game of the week, and it was a showdown. The first game of the week was a big showdown at... there we go. I'm just going to fix it up so you can see things. The first game of the year, first game of nights this week was a showdown at Budweiser Gardens against the Memorial Cup hosts of this year, the Windsor Spitfires. Now, Windsor hasn't exactly been lighting the circuit on fire this year. Windsor has actually, according to many of their fans, I go on a fan board and write and read their fan comments. According to a lot of fans, not happy with Windsor's play this year. They have underachieved, I should say. Not happy with where they are and don't feel very optimistic that they're going to get far in the playoffs. This is from the Windsor fan base. So Windsor comes into Budweiser Gardens last Friday, and actually, yours truly was at that game. I don't get to as many games as I would like to due to financial constraints and due to time and a lot of other issues. But I hadn't been to a game in a while, and I thought it's time that this super fan goes to a game. So thought it was a good game to go to against the Spitfires, so I was there. Now, interesting. Before this game started, very interesting. They announced the starting goaltenders and they announced the starting lineups. They announced both. And the starting goaltender announced at Budweiser Gardens by Mike Dooley, the PA announcer, starting and goal for your London Knights, number 1, Tyler Parsons. So yeah, Tyler Parsons back in net after missing a few games, after missing a couple weeks due to an injury. Great to see him back in the lineup. And then he was announced in the starting lineup as the starting goaltender for your London Knights. But then, national anthems are played, and then I look down the ice, and I look at the goaltender in net as the national anthems are done, and I'm like, hey, that's not Tyler Parsons. What the heck is going on here? That certainly is not Tyler Parsons. That's Tyler Johnson. And I thought the way that Tyler Johnson has been playing lately, good grief. Tyler Johnson in net, what is going on here? And then I was like, where's Parsons? I quickly went on the internet, went on Mike Stubbs' Twitter, who is the play-by-play announcer of the London Knights. Mike Stubbs on his Twitter had just posted a quick late change after the warm-ups and before the national anthems. Tyler Parsons not dressing tonight. Tyler Parsons has apparently come down with a last-minute flu. Wow. Okay, that really sucks. But Tyler Johnson in net for the London Knights. Jordan Coy quickly called into backup action. He was in the building, thankfully, but he had to quickly be called and say, hey, buddy, get over here. Get your equipment. Get on. Get over to the bench. You're the backup. So Jordan Coy came in a little late, too. Now, let's get to the game, shall we? And this game did not turn out to be as bad as I would thought, or many would think, with Tyler Johnson in net. Tyler Johnson actually played one heck of a game in this game. He really played a very confident, outstanding game. So let's get to this game, shall we? And let's see what happens in this one. And let me just quickly bring this up. Okay, here we go. So, we had a scoreless first period, and a pretty decent period in many respects, as London outshot Windsor 8-4, and no scoring in the first period. London had plenty of chances. They fired the puck at the net many times and actually missed. So the 8 shots on net, if they had actually put some of the shots on net, would have been a lot more. But scoreless first period. London did control a lot of the play in the first period and played a very good first period. And let's see when the scoring opens here. The scoring opens in the second period. Let's go to the second period here. In the second period, it was early on in the second, just at the end of a penalty kill. The London Knights killing a penalty, and Mitchell Stevens was in the penalty box serving it. And London Knights got one of those lucky breaks where the penalty's about to expire and they had a play coming up the ice, and Mitchell Stevens popped out of the penalty box. Cliff Pugh started the play in his own end, the speed of Pugh, and Cliff Pugh passed it to Evan Bouchard, who then passed it to Mitchell Stevens, who was flying on the run, and Mitchell Stevens scores his 20th goal of the season from Evan Bouchard, and Cliff Pugh at 3:31 at the second period made a 1-0 game as the London Knights would open the scoring with that goal. That was the only goal at the second period, so a rather tightly played contested match between these two top-tier teams in the Western Conference. And even though Windsor's sitting 5th in the conference, they still are a top-tier team. 1-0 after 2 shots in the second were 13 apiece. So London Knights still owning a 4-shot edge after 2 periods of play. And that was your score after 2 periods of play at Budweiser Gardens. Let's go to the third period now. And, you know, Tyler Johnson has made some great stops. He has made some really good stops in this game so far. 17 shots on net only still, but some of those shots weren't easy to stop. So we go to the third period, and let's see what happens in the third period. In the third period, the London Knights would add to their lead very quickly on. It was only 29 seconds into the third period when J.J. Pickenidge, the captain of your London Knights, got his 21st goal of the season from Sam Miletic at 29 seconds. Made it 2-0 Knights. And then the Knights have really balanced scoring through their lineup. That's something that's really nice to see. They don't have that real stellar top line this year, but they got guys, you know, a lot of guys over 20 goals, a couple with over 30. They got really balanced scoring, and Jani Kaukonen would add on to that at 14:37 of the third. He would get his 22nd goal of the season from Oli Jalevi, made it 3-0 for your London Knights. But that's not... Let this be deceiving, because Windsor did own the third period. They outshot the Knights in the third 20-9. London kind of slept-walked through the third period, but they had a 3-0 lead built up, so that was good. But here you are at 14:37 mark, 3-0, and you're sitting in your seat, and at least I am at this game going like, wow, Tyler Johnson could get a shutout in this game. Wow, he's playing a great game. But no, that was not meant to be, because just after that goal by the London Knights at 15:05, Windsor got on the scoreboard when Hayden McCool got his 6th goal of the season from Adam Lashram at 15:05 to make it 3-1. Now, Windsor is desperate. Windsor is really desperate. At the end of the game, Windsor would pull their goalie. It was even, there was over 2 minutes left in the game when they pulled their goalie. And the London Knights would capitalize on that with an empty net goal at 17:36. Sam Miletich got his 28th of the season on an empty net at 17:36 to make it 4-1. 4-1 was your final in this game for the London Knights over the Windsor Spitfires, who, if you ask many people, Windsor appears to be going into the Memorial Cup through the front door. And to be honest, it wouldn't shock me at all if Windsor doesn't even get out of the first round of the playoffs. That's where they sit right now. Windsor's not in a really good spot in the standings, but, who knows what will happen in the playoffs, but the Windsor Spitfires lose this game 4-1. 3 stars of this game. The third star was all London Knights. The third star, Yanni Kalkinen, got his the third star of the game. He got a goal. And what else did Yanni Kalkinen do? Did he get any other points? Let's go down the sheet. Yanni Kalkinen just got the goal, so he was the third star. Mitchell Stevens got the opening goal. He was the second star of the game. And the first star of the game, number 34, the goaltender, Tyler Johnson, was the first star of the game with an almost shutout, but he played a very good game. And who would have ever thought? He got called into duty at the last second, and he played an outstanding game. First star of the game, almost got a shutout. Wow, that is pretty special. And in fact, for me personally, this was a significant watermark in my games I've been at, because this was, for me, at games I've been personally at recently, this is the London Knights' 10th straight victory. So, dating back about 3 seasons, the London Knights have not lost at games I've been at. 10 straight wins at games I've been at for the London Knights. So, we got to go to this clip because of Tyler Johnson and because of that fact. 10 straight games I've personally been at that they've won.
Seen a lot of stuff in my life, but that was
awesome.
Sorry about your car, man.
Yes, that was awesome. So that is actually 10 straight wins, personally, games I've been at for the London Knights, and they beat the Windsor Spitfires, and Tyler Johnson got the first star of the game. So, here you go. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Great game by the London Knights at Budweiser Gardens in this one. So, moving on now. Let's go to the next game of the week. And we're going to go to Owen Sound for this game. And in Owen Sound, the London Knights would play the Owen Sound Attack, who, if you might remember, 2 weeks ago, they were in here at Budweiser Gardens and they laid a beating on the London Knights. They pasted them 6-1. Not the best of games for the London Knights. And Owen Sound's been playing very good hockey since December. They have been one of the most consistent, hottest teams in the OHL. So the London Knights going into Owen Sound on Saturday to take on the Attack. No Tyler Parsons, still out with the flu. He was out with the flu all weekend this weekend. They weren't too sure about starting Johnson back-to-back, so they went with the young kid, Jordan Coy, who actually has played very well against Owen Sound this year in games he's been in. So, looked like a good call. So let's go to this one. Before we go to this one, I want you to hear this.
In each of us there are 2 natures. If this primitive duality of man, good and evil, can be housed in separate identities, life will be relieved of all that is unbearable. It is the curse of mankind that these polar twins should be constantly struggling.
Ooh, how do you like that? But that is perfectly why I want to set this game up, because Jekyll and Hyde, two sides. And it seems like for a lot of the season, that's what we've seen from the London Knights, a Jekyll and Hyde team. No signs of consistency, and they look like they're going to get on a roll, and then they flop out. Or even in a game like the Windsor game, they played great for 40 minutes. In the third period, they got pretty outplayed in that third period. Did not really play a good third period. Still won, but didn't play the full 60 in my opinion. Now let's go to this game in Owen Sound, okay? And I actually, for this game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right to the third period for you instead of going through the first two periods. And that's me. I got to bring this up here. Just give me a second. All right. Here we go. So, this is against the Owen Sound attack. And let me cue up what's happening after two periods of play. The London Knights and Owen Sound attack playing a very close game for two periods. Owen Sound outshooting the London Knights just by 2 shots, and the score is tied 2-2 going into the third. And actually, early in the third, London would actually get the lead. At 2:39 of the third, Victor Mete got his 13th goal of the season from Robert Thomas, and Cliff Pugh at 2:39 to make it a 3-2 game in favor of the London Knights. Okay, so you're thinking to yourself, this is pretty good. We're 3-2 lead and early in the third. We played them pretty tough. This game could go down on the wire. I think the London Knights have a shot at this one. All right, what happened after this? Well, something really terrible happened here, because all of a sudden the wheels fell off in this game. Because at the 9:10 mark, this all happened in a span of about a half a period too, folks. It wasn't even a whole period, a half a period. Trade acquisition that Owen Sound made. Cordell James, who's turning out to be a very good pickup for Owen Sound, got his 26th goal of the season from Santino Santarami and Maxime Susko at 9:10 to tie it up. Okay, so, but you're still thinking at that point, okay, we got half a period to go. We're tied 3-3 with Owen Sound. This is a pretty good position to be in. We're doing okay. But then the wheels totally fell off, and somebody by the name of Nick Suzuki took over this game. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Because 2 weeks ago in London, Nick Suzuki got 6 points against the London Knights. He was in on every goal. He had a goal and 5 assists in that game. Well, it was the back that broke the camel that broke the back that broke the camel's. I can't think of what I'm trying to say. Something about breaking a neck or something. This was what did it. Nick Suzuki, shorthanded. Okay, so the Knights are on a power play, but Nick Suzuki gets a shorthanded goal at 10:45 with the third, game-winning goal at that point. Nick Suzuki got his 33rd goal of the season to give the Owen Sound attack the lead. And then, starting at 15:52, it was one after another after another. It was just a terrible, terrible end to this hockey game. Nick Suzuki would score again at 15:52, 34th goal of the season from Marcus Phillips and Kevin Hancock. Then all of a sudden it's 5-3 Owen Sound. Then Jonah Gadjevich. We saw him in London, didn't we? Remember Jonah Gadjevich, who got the stick in the mouth from Max Jones after a hat trick? Yeah, that guy. He got his 38th goal of the season from Kevin Hancock and Nick Suzuki at 16:11. Then at 19:29, with the Owen Sound on the power play, why don't we get another goal? Petrus Palmu got his 32nd from Nick Suzuki and Jonah Gadjevich on the power play, 19:29. 7-3 was the final for the Owen Sound attack in this game. Wow. After having a 3-2 lead early in the third, the London Knights just mailed it in, and Owen Sound just ran to the races, courtesy of Mr. Nick Suzuki, actually, who got 2 goals, and 2 assists. Wow. He's some kind of player, Nick Suzuki, I'm telling you. So the London Knights lost this game 7-3 after really playing well for a good portion of this game. London goal scorers, by the way, were Alex Formenton with his 15th, Liam Foudy with his 7th, and Victor Mete, as I alluded to already, with his 13th. Those were the goal scorers for London Knights. Now, Jordan Coy was left in net for all 7 goals. The roughest game he's had so far in his career. But you can't blame the kid for all those goals because that kid faced nothing but rubber in the third period. The shots in the third period were 21-8 in favor of the Owen Sound attack. They got 50 shots on net in total for the game, the Owen Sound attack. So, London Knights really had a meltdown in this game. Terrible third period. And Jordan Coy, can't really blame him for losing this game. So, I want to play this for you here. That was... Here comes the sound of a train. Yeah. What's that? What is that train? Is that the Owen Sound attack? Yeah. Here comes the train. And you could say that third period was a train wreck for the London Knights. Complete train wreck. And thank you for that CP fail right train, courtesy of the internet. So that's what happened in this one. The London Knights lose 7-3 to the Owen Sound attack. They've lost their last 2 against them. That was their final game of the regular season with them. Owen Sound did take 4 out of 6 in the season series, which could come back and bite the Knights in the butt at the end of the regular season. Because here's the kicker. If London and Owen Sound end up tied in the standings, Owen Sound will get the first position in the standings due to their head-on-head matchup with the London Knights. So, London Knights have got to finish third or first, I think, in my opinion. Because if they finish in that 4th spot, that's not a good spot to finish in. And they're gonna have to play some great hockey down the stretch to stay ahead of those red-hot Owen Sound attacks. So, another way of putting that game, I had an accounting professor one time, and he used to use this term all the time with accounting procedures. He used to say, that was a real nightmare. So that was my accounting professor, Scott Calvin. He used to say, that was a real nightmare. So if you're watching, I'm sure you're not watching my videos, but that's for you if you're watching there, Mr. Scott Calvin, my former accounting professor. So, let's go to the last game of Knights this week. And we're going to head on over to Guelph for this game. And let's head on over to Guelph now. And the only way I can sum up this game, really, is like this. He shoots, he scores! He shoots, he scores! He shoots, he scores! Yeah, that was the game in a nutshell. In a good way, because that was what happened with the London Knights. So the London Knights came into Owen Sound mad as heck, I'm sure, because I'm sure very, very sour taste left in their mouth after that train wreck and complete collapse in Owen Sound in the third period. London was mad, and the Guelph Storm fans were a little worried about that, them being mad, and they were right, because London came in, and all I'm going to say is they just laid a beating on the Guelph Storm, 8-1. Now, you might think to yourself, this is a good statement game for the London Knights. This could be a game that could turn around their season. This could be a wake-up call. This could be what gets a fire lit underneath the Knights' belly, because, frankly, they haven't shown that a lot in the last month or month and a half. They have not played very well since the trade deadline. But you got to keep in mind that this is a last-place team in the Western Conference, the Guelph Storm. They're not a very good team, which is evident with the 8-1 score. Tyler Johnson back in net for this game. And all I'm going to do is I'm not even going to go over the game summary for you. I'm just going to say who got the goals for the London Knights. And I will tell you that Yanni Kaukonen got his 23rd, Sam Miletich got his 29th and 30th goal of the season. So Sam Miletich is now in Cliff Poo's territory. That's 30 or above goals for the season. So great job, Sam Miletich, for a guy who quit the team last year and kind of walked back onto the team this year. Not really sure if he'd get a regular roster spot. He's had a great season. I would say he's probably the comeback player of the year. So Sam Miletich has got 30 goals now. Metro Stevens scored again, his 21st. Liam Foudy got a goal, his 8th. Robert Thomas got a goal, his 16th. Dante Salaturo got his 9th goal of the season. So those were all the London Knight goal scorers in this one, as the London Knights beat the Guelph Storm 8-1. The 3 stars of this game in Guelph: JJ Pickenidge for the London Knights, the captain. Cliff Poo, you could have went with many London Knights in this one, but these are the ones they went with. Cliff Poo, the 2nd star, and Sam Miletich with 2 goals, 1st star of the game for the London Knights, as they beat the Guelph Storm 8-1, which is going to lead me to going back to this video clip again.
I swear I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, but that was awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome.
I swear I've seen a lot.
Actually, if you want to be technical, that was a whitewash in Guelph, as the Knights beat the Guelph Storm 8-1. A critical win for the London Knights, coming off that collapse in Owen Sound, because Owen Sound did actually win again on Sunday. They were playing Erie, and Owen Sound beat Erie. So I don't know about those attacks, but they certainly are a team that you should be fearful of, and a team that has a shot, I think, in that Western Conference mix. The most craziest thing about this weekend was Friday night. The Guelph Storm, who the London Knights just laid a beating on 8-1 on Sunday, Guelph Storm actually managed to beat the top-ranked team, the Erie Otters, on Friday night and end their 14-game winning streak. So, that's crazy. But London Knights are definitely within striking distance of the Erie Otters, but they're going to need to play really well down the stretch here, and definitely win those hit-on-hit games with Erie to have a shot at finishing first. They got a shot, but they gotta win those games. Okay, let's get to the updated standings here, shall we, as I bring Knights this week to a conclusion, which I hope you've all enjoyed. I try to make it fun, add in special effects, do fun things. I try to make this a great, fun, interactive show. Okay, so let's go to the standings here. Let's first of all tell you where the Knights are. The Knights' record now is 40 wins, 12 losses, 3 overtime losses, 4 shootout losses. You can see it right there for 87 points. So if the London Knights do well down the stretch, they got a good shot at getting another 100-point plus season, I think. 50 wins, not going to happen, but 100 points is definitely a possibility. And actually, I want to add this 40th win, these 40 wins. It's the 6th season in a row that the London Knights have finished with 40 or above wins. So that's pretty darn good. 6 years in a row. Considering you play 68 games in a regular season, that's an incredible mark of consistency. So that is the Knights' record. Now let's show where the other teams are. So you can see Erie still in first with 91 points. London Knights just 4 points behind them. But 4 points at this time of the year is challenging to overcome. Sault Ste. Marie is right there still with 86 points in the 2nd seed in the West. London Knights with 87. Owen Sound just a point behind them coming into play this weekend. So, as I said, you got to watch out for that train coming behind you, the Owen Sound attack, 86. And Windsor down there with 82. So, Right now, unless Windsor goes on a hot streak, it seems like they're going to roll into that 5th spot in the Western Conference, hosting the Memorial Cup, and they're not even going to get home ice first round. Wow. Let's take a look at the updated CHL rankings as well. Let's go to that quickly. And I can tell you that not much has changed on that front, except maybe at the bottom of it, but Erie still number 1 in the country, in the whole country of Canada. Regina is at number 2. Regina has been, from what I can understand, has been struggling out west lately. They are in a bit of a slump right now. They're ranked 2. St. John Sea Dogs from Quebec League ranked 3rd. London Knights ranked 4th in the CHL. Still, they were ranked 4th last week too. The Sioux Greyhounds right behind the Knights at 5. And moving up, they actually moved up 2 spots. And when you beat Erie, and Owen Sound also beat London last weekend, that will take notice. People notice that. They moved up from 8th to 6th, the Owen Sound attack in the CHL rankings. So that's all that we have to be concerned with here in the OHL, is those top 6 teams. So, I'm going to end Knights this week now. I will tell you that this weekend coming up, the London Knights on this weekend have just 2 games. But they also have a midweek game coming up this week as well on Thursday night at home. So, that's where we're going to be at next week. So the Knights have 9 games left in the season coming into play this weekend. All important games to determine where they finish. And as I said, I think if you are a player and a fan, I think you want to see 1st or 3rd. Those are probably the best spots to finish, because if you finish 4th, you're looking at a first-round matchup with Windsor, who actually I think the Knights can take out, and would be great. It would just be very satisfying to see the Knights knock out a nemesis like Windsor in the first round and make them sit and sit and sit before the Memorial Cup starts. But that's not where you want to be, because you finish 4th, you're most likely going to get Erie second round. Yeah, don't want them second round. You want to push them off as much as you can. So, that is the updated standings for you. Now, as I like to do at the end of every show, I'm going to bring you the Knights dance. So let me just bring this up for you. And we're going to do the Knights dance to end Knights this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. So keep cheering on the Knights, people. And here we go. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Go Knights go! Go Knights go! Thank you for watching my video. I hope you come back next week and cheer on the Knights, and we'll see you next week on Knights This Week.